So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal link in the description box, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Also, leave us a thumbs up. It helps us get more views.
He left because what's the point in litigating these fights day in, day out in the West Wing when you can litigate them on a massive website with a massive audience that has significant swing now in the country? And I'm terrified of what you're going to hear tonight from this West Wing Democrat White House now.
Let's go there because Bannon really has done a great job overall. The word is he got a foul because of some of the infighting and some of the wars that went on. But regardless, Breitbart's really been helping put out the talking points of truth for the American reboot and those great speeches and everything else. You know, they could say his great crime was maybe helping the generals and people get in, and now they ate him last. But clearly, I'm really concerned because you know, we saw Mattis saying, well, the president's going to have to wrestle this weekend with what he's going to say Monday, how he's going to explain it to people. So it sounds like he's going to have to explain he's changed his mind for an escalation. What are you thinking?
I think that's right. I think you are going to see a ramping up, and the phrase that is going to be used is conditional. It's the word conditional that they say they're not talking about victory in Afghanistan now. They're talking about conditional circumstances. This is the president that told us we were going to get tired of winning. They're now just talking about not losing.
And this sounds like terms of surrender.
Yep, and you're talking about 4,000 troops going to be announced now, and there's going to be another 10,000 in 6 months.
Sounds just like the Vietnam, where you're pulling out, but you're ramping up.
You've got Vietnam going on with Afghanistan. You've got the Bay of Pigs going on in Venezuela. You've got a crisis at home with almost civil warfare out on the streets. And then they wonder why this president is so you know under the cosh at the moment. This is probably the most challenged president in decades in this country. There are so many issues going on around the world. You've got North Korea as well. You know, and
he's totally surrounded.
He's totally surrounded.
It's insane. Well, let's talk about Afghanistan because. No, Alexander the Great won everywhere he went except there. No one ever gets out of there because they're all killing each other. It's the culture, and it's totally tribal, and so you can't take over a group that won't give up its tribalism. That's why globalists want to get rid of our culture to then replace it with globalism. But here they can't get rid of it. I don't see how escalating the war is going to do anything but make defense contractors more money.
Well, remember what the Taliban said. America has all the watches, but we have all the time. They don't play the short game. They're not playing 4-year, 8-year political cycle games with wars around the world. They're playing long-term strategy to have Islam, and particularly their virulent sect of Deobandi, Hanafist school of Islam, dominate the world. That's what the game they're playing. And they don't need 4 years to do it. They don't need 8 years to do it. They're playing the 500
So why are we staying there? Are we staying there for the opium?
Well, I don't know about the opium, but I think we're staying there to help our defense contractors. The people who are H.R. McMaster's friends are going to get very rich off this war.
And, I mean, we should just be blocking people from, you know, who aren't vetted from coming from there. We should just let it be in the Stone Age.
I can't understand constitutionally why there's not more uproar about this. Your Congress should be consulted about this now. This cannot be an executive action. This is the longest war, and the American people are effectively having had no say in this. I mean, Donald Trump himself, one of the reasons he was elected, remember, he was talking about how stupid these long wars were. He's been on the record about this stuff for such a very long time. That's what people liked.
And I want to be clear. When it comes to pulling out of TPP, carbon taxes, $4 trillion stock market, not being politically correct, helping the veterans, he gets A+. But when he supported that first Obamacare repeal, it was a bad bill. He really got hurt with his constituents. And if he expands the Afghan war, that's how it always starts with modest increases. It's going to balloon out of control. And again, Trump loves the military, but he shouldn't conflate that with the generals themselves.
This is what happens when you trust the political establishment, when you trust Mitch McConnell to deliver you health care reform, when you trust H.R. McMaster to deliver you an exit strategy from Afghanistan. This is what happens. You wade further into these things, and they like to kick the can down the road because everybody gets rich in the meantime.
That's right. And Bannon didn't want to go along with an expansion of the war. He said, deliver on your promises. We'll save the country. We'll turn it all around. If we don't navigate exactly the way we said, we'll be destroyed. Your intel on why Bannon left.
You know, what Bannon wanted was to prescribe the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. He wanted to leave the Paris climate deal. He wanted to end these stupid trade deals that you have all across North America. He wanted to revise the things that are killing American jobs. And of course, no wonder he's under attack from the biggest Chinese newspaper right now, by the way, today published an op-ed saying what a terrible person this is, because he knows the games. He knows the tables are being run on the United States in an international basis. And the Chinese are terrified of somebody like that because he knows the game. He left because what's the point in litigating these fights day in, day out in the West Wing when you can litigate them on a massive website with a massive audience that has significant swing now in the country? And he's going to be doing just that. And it's bittersweet because he's a loss for the American people in the White House, but he's a massive gain for us at Breitbart, and you're going to be hearing much more about him. Watch this space.
I wanted to finish up with Raheem Kassan, the amazing editor of Breitbart London over in the UK, one of the most important branches. And what he's saying is the intel I got from my sources. Other folks are like, well, Bannon was part of these purges of other folks. So he deserves what happened. You know, and there's just personalities and infighting that go on that I'm not part of. It doesn't mean guests we have on and people aren't involved in it. I'm not involved in it. I'm not in competition with Sean Hannity. I'm not in competition with Tucker Carlson and Daily Caller. I'm not in competition with Matt Drudge and DrudgeReport.com. I'm not in competition with Breitbart. These globalists are coming after us, our families, our rights, our private property. They're declaring they're authoritarian, and they are a clear and present massive danger that we're barely beating right now. So I want to be clear that the biggest thing, our biggest hindrance is infighting. The left is focused like a hateful laser beam on the West and on open society values. That's why they call it an open society, the Soros operation, like they call Antifa anti-fascist when they are the definition of fascist. So just finishing up, because his phone battery's about to die, Raheem Kassan, you were getting into Bannon. Absolutely. I mean, I know just a lot of the stuff Bannon did. He was a real treasure at the White House. He became a distraction in the media. But long before, a week before the whole thing happened in Charlottesville, he was already, from my intel, had resigned. And so that's another whole red herring now. And as you said, the Communist Chinese and others, the Pope, they're all basically attacking him, myself and others, because we're just nationalists promoting common sense and comparing that to globalism. I mean, it's an easy sell for what we're promoting. Open, true, free market, Americana, Western civilization. You stack it up next to what's going on in other areas of the world. I mean, it's really simple. Author of No-Go Zones, finish up your points on the Bannon situation.
Yeah, well, he had offered his resignation 2 weeks before the Charlottesville thing even occurred. But of course, like you said, he was demonized in the press. But why was he demonized in the press? Not because these people disliked him. Alex, you know these people would come to the Breitbart parties at CPAC and drink all of our alcohol and eat all of our canapes and smoke all of our cigars. Apologies for that. You know that was happening. So it's not like they thought he was some sort of boogie monster. They knew he wasn't. They were setting this up. They were setting this person up to be a fall guy for the nationalist, for the economic nationalist movement. And they got what they wanted. You know, they were portraying him as the Grim Reaper at the same time they were portraying him as President Bannon. They knew that would grate on President Trump. And they want the economic nationalists out of the White House. My concern is, you know, that whiteboard, that famous whiteboard that he had in his office. My concern is that whiteboard is now somewhere in the back of a removals van. If I were President Trump and I wanted to prove to the base in this moment that he was still on the agenda with the economic nationalist plan, I would get that whiteboard, put it up in the Oval Office, stand in front of it, tweet a picture out of it, and that will make people reassured that just because Bannon's left, it doesn't mean that the West Wing Democrats are in charge. But maybe they are. Who knows? And let's be clear. We have a true Nazi collaborator, Soros, who is literally behind almost all of this with other big megacorporations trying to sow racial division, infighting. And then they point at us and call us Nazis. It is crazy. And it's just so stupid, and it really makes my blood boil. But the good news is, when I was out in Seattle and other areas, it was almost only weirdo white people virtue signaling, screaming I was a racist. And most of the folks shaking my hand were black or were, Asian. Right. And I'm not saying that to virtue signal. It's true. I found most of the frothing, even last night down at UT with Owen down there, it was mainly white people screaming, F you, white male. I hate America. Well, I hate the bad parts of America. I love the good parts of America. And we're all America together now. And it just seems like a globalist desperate action, all of this infighting. Do you think the merger of radical Orthodox Islam with the West is going to be successful? Well, it's already in many of your communities. It's actually, there's a lot of these places popping up all around the United States. They're trying to shut down dissenters, people who are whistleblowers. You know, they call people like me Islamophobes, despite the fact that I was raised in Islam, and I'm now blowing the whistle on all of this, Alex. So I think we're at a tipping point already, quite literally, if you're looking at me from my phone. But actually, you know, the serious point here is it's happening in Detroit, it's happening in wider Michigan, it's happening in Minnesota, it's even happening down there in Texas. And you've got to know the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. There are some good ones out there. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser out of Phoenix, Raheel Raza in Canada, Majid Nawaz in the United Kingdom. There are good ones out there trying to reform Islam, but you have to throw your support behind them, because every time these guys speak out, the Southern Poverty Law Center calls them a bunch of Islamophobe haters just because they don't want to follow Sharia law.
If you're interested to learn how to create content and spread content, we'll show you how. Go to the Operation How YouTube channel, click on the About button, and then click Message. Send us an email. If you want to engage, become an info warrior, we will train you up.
If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below the video to get notified when the latest new content drops.
Keep us in your prayers. We get a lot of resistance for putting these videos out, but to Yahweh be the glory.